you. Oh. Layla, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another sloppy ass episode of Books and Bullshit, where the topics are made up and your opinions do not matter. I am Zachary Chopchinsky, the Bowtie author. That's what I do. I wear bow ties, I write books, USA Today bestseller, all that shit. Martina, tell them about yourself.
No, that's not how we do this. You can fucking tell them about me. I'm trying to answer a message.
Because you're on your fucking phone.
Yes, because I'm angry.
Okay, I thought you were Martina. Alright, really? So Martina...
We devolved to fucking kindergarten now?
Martina McAtee, also USA Today best-selling author. Sassy, classy, bitchy.
Thank you.
I gotcha. So, we're watching my dog, have a nightmare, and it's adorable, as sad as that sounds. So, before we get into anything, I want to talk a little bit about some news going down with our Patreon. We've recently added a new tier to it. Two new tiers to it. Oh, shit, we're growing faster than I thought we would. So...
You went straight up Morgan Freeman.
I'm gonna throw the mic over to my homegirl, and she's gonna tell you a little bit more about these tiers.
I hope you mean Layla.
I do.
Thank God, because I don't know any more than you do.
Okay, we have two new tiers.
Listen to that sexy voice.
That's just my voice. One of them is the $1 tier still exists. You can get all of the sound checks where Zach and Martina just talk about stupid shit before, they actually start recording. Then there's going to be a $5 tier where you can get a Books and Bullshit sticker featuring the bull that now has a name, which is Sir Loin.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca. You can get the sound checks as well as some extra mini episodes. We are going to have some of the mini episodes available for the regular podcast, but we're going to save a couple of them for the $5 tier. Then there's going to be a $10 tier.
Tell them what the mini episodes usually are, though.
Oh, the mini episodes, at least so far, have been your stories, beginning with "You won't believe this shit."
Yes.
So, your fucked up, weird, tragic, spooky...
We've already read a couple and they're fucking amazing.
Some of them are amazing. This fucked up shit that's happened to you guys. We want to hear about it.
Or funny stuff, things like that.
Or funny stuff, spooky stuff.
Keep it from being sad stuff. Don't tell us about the time your puppy died and it wrecked your summer.
I mean, you can if you want.
But I'm going to make fun of it.
No. Send us whatever you want. Just realize Zach and Martina are going to probably make fun of it.
Thank you.
Because we have the emotional maturity of a child.
Exactly.
And by we, I mean Zach.
Exactly. And then the $10 tier is going to have all of that previous stuff as well as some video. Right now, we've got some video up there of Zach reading more porny, crappy, really, really cringy fan fiction.
Yes. We went straight up Potterotica and also Steric. It's totally worth $10.
Definitely worth it.
So
we're going to
worth
have
the
some
price of
other
admission.
videos up there too at some point. But for right now, it's the Zach porn show. So, hop over to Patreon and do a thing. We'd appreciate it.
Cool. All right.
Back to you, Zach.
Back to Zach with the weather. Zach?
It's hot!
It's raining.
Thanks, Zach. All right, so now today, what we're going to talk about, now that we got all that business out, go check out our Patreon. We're going to talk about series, I believe. Right, Martina?
Yes, Zach.
Thank you for joining us. You're off your phone. That's cool. I completely forgot.
Hey, look, somebody was talking shit. I had to put them right. Now we're good.
Wait, is it relevant to Books and Bullshit?
Well, I mean, no, but still.
Well, if it was, I was going to be like, let's call that bitch out now. Like, let's do this.
I thought you were going to be like, well, then it's not important. I was going to be like, okay, bitch, you are on your fucking phone watching videos every fucking meeting Layla and I have, so you don't get to fucking tell me shit.
I'm just saying, knock on the door of my green room when you're ready for me for the stage. That's all I'm here for, really.
Yes, we know. We're doing all the heavy lifting here. We got it.
Wow. So anyway,
Yeah,
series. So what about series in particular?
Because again, he wasn't paying attention at our fucking production
I know
meeting.
we're going to talk about series. We're going to talk about ones that, my favorite part, which is ones that should have fucking died.
But went on too long.
Yes, there's a few of those.
Okay, so people start series for a lot of reasons. I mean, sometimes they just find characters that they just really love. And it used to be that people would start a series and there really was no end in sight. Like, as long as you had a standalone sort of story that you could put out that had sort of an overall arc throughout the series that would last, people could just write. I mean, I think Janet Ivanovich did it. Like, she had her like number series, and you saw it a lot in people who were like private detectives or people who were cops, because they could each have their own little whatever detective thing that was happening or whatnot, and it was easy, and you could just fucking drag that shit out forever if you wanted to. And then you saw it a lot in romance, but usually with romance it was like each book was a different couple, but you got to see glimpses of the other couples that had been in the previous books.
Or sometimes also, like with me, my first novel was a series, because if it's going to be an extremely long story, you literally don't want to drop like a 6-inch book on people. Like, you might, if it's one storyline, but you might have to break it down.
No.
You don't have a 6-inch book, Martina. You're not rocking a Tolstoy over here, not a War and Peace.
I think my book's a good 1.5 inches, maybe. Tops. Maybe an inch. 1 inch? I think it'd be one solid inch. Together, my books make 7 inches. Not really.
It's all about that length at the end. But that's also another reason why they might break it apart into a series if it's a really long story.
I was getting there.
Well, I want to participate too, goddammit.
I thought you were just going to jump in to trash all the series you thought should have ended too soon. Or ended too late. But now I think it's a lot more common for people to do series because they know that people will continue reading. So, there was a big run of trilogies where everybody was writing, like, a 3-book series, especially in YA. Trilogies were hot for a while.
That's still kind of clinging to the industry, though, now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still...
Not as big as it was.
Right, you still see a lot of trilogies. I guess that's really true. But now you also see series, and I think that's a lot with the indie industry. And, I mean, I could be myself included. Maybe I should have ended my series, too. But, like, some books are they just keep putting them out there because people keep buying them. And they're like, fuck, I don't know what to write next. But, yeah, let's just try this. And they just, like, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Because, I mean, you want to keep making that money, you know? So, a lot of times... But I think in the publishing world, that's what happens with a lot of series, too. And we're going to talk about those. The ones that, at some point had an end date, but just kept going. Perfect example of that in television is the show Lost. Lost was supposed to be a 1 fucking season show. But it became such a huge hit that they dragged that motherfucking show out for what, 5 seasons? 6 seasons?
Somewhere in there,
yeah. And at the end, it was like, what in the actual fuck is happening here? Like, they were just like, oh, and now there's a bear, and there's some fog, and there's some this, and like, it was a hot mess. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about that shit.
I mean, that works for me.
Go ahead and talk, Zach. Go.
That's how it works. So, I think one thing about that, and with series, is... It's difficult to say, because I understand with some respects why you'd want to continue the series to go on, frankly, from a business perspective.
Right,
Like, this is successful. I want to continue this success going forward. It's against our nature to cut that out. But then on the back end of that, you will reach a point where you've beat it to death.
Yeah.
And then you actually have an inverse of return, because now people are just trashing you.
Yes.
Like, I know it's, this is books and bullshit, but part of the bullshit perspective of that is, I'm a big video game guy, and they do that in video games a lot. For example, growing up, one of my favorite video game series was Halo. And they did Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, completed the story, awesome. Then they did Halo 4. Okay, cool, yeah, we'll try that out. Then they did Halo Wars. Then they did ODST. Then they did The Fall of Reach. And then they just started, tacking all these on, and now it's at the point where people, every time there's anything Halo-related, people roll their eyes. Like, of course there is. And now it doesn't do as well. So it's kind of like... you need to also be aware of where you're at and know when you really do just have to cut and walk.
I think you could say the same thing for like Silent Hill, to a point. Like
yeah,
but I think they caught on and they kind of went dark for a while. They were like, all right, let's just.
Resident Evil's another one.
Yeah.
They beat that, and then now you're coming out Resident Evils that are like nothing like what they used to be with like Umbrella Corp.
No, because
and all that shit.
Mikaela is playing that newest. Was it Resident Evil 7 or whatever?
Yes.
With the fucking creepy ass zombie family thing.
Yep.
Sweet mother of fuck, that is terrifying.
It
and
is,
so gross,
and
but not even remotely related to Resident Evil.
Well, they're trying to get back to their original roots,
right?
Which is that survival horror type aspect.
By the way, nothing's funnier than the time I tried to play that game. And my character's running from zombies staring at the ceiling the whole time. And my god was like, Mom, no, stop, turn the button, move that button, no, the other button, stop playing that. Oh my god, just give me the controller, you're gonna die. That is literally a replay of how it went. And then I got hacked to death by some fucking guy wielding a machete. That was fun. Good times.
I get that. Parents can't play video games.
But I used to play video games. I played the original fucking Silent Hill game. Then they added too many fucking buttons to the controller. Now I'm old.
I get confused.
I do.
Where am I?
I can't control the two toggle thingies and my thumbs at the same time. I can't walk forward and look forward at the same time. I can't do it.
That explains a lot about your personal life and why you run into so much shit at our house.
I'm also blind. That doesn't help.
Yeah, it's sad.
And one of my legs is shorter than the other, so stop making fun of me.
Anything else you want to self-divulge about you?
No. I'm also clinically depressed and I go to therapy every fucking Friday.
So stop making
and
fun of me.
And I talk shit about Zach and how he makes fun of me in front of millions of strangers on our podcast.
Just kidding. There's only like 20 of you.
Exactly. Millions. That's something else I tell my therapist.
God.
What does it mean when you lie to your therapist?
Wow.
Just kidding.
No, but seriously.
Yeah, but seriously, what does that mean?
But yeah, so now, off the top of your head, again, my reference in a lot of that, because, to be honest, there's very few series and books that I do read.
Or books that he reads in general.
Well, yeah. But usually I like, and even with shows and things like that, I generally am not a big fan of series. I want to, here's the package. I want to start from finish it and be done with it. I don't want it to be drug out because, to be honest, I'm very, very, very impatient. And
I find a lot of men are like that when it comes to series. If it is a series, I feel like they want a beginning, a middle, and end of each book. And then if they choose to pick up another book with the same main character, it has to be a completely new story.
Yeah, and that's actually how I write my Hall of Doors books. Yeah. Is there a series, similar characters, and so on, but each book is a standalone. So if you can follow that through, and I don't know if it's because I'm impatient or what, but so series tend to drive me nuts if I have to read them all the way through, like Twilight or Harry Potter. Actually, I finished that one up when I was 18. That one started getting a little frustrating at the end. Like, it took me a while to get through that last book because I'm just like, all right, come on, I want to get to the end of this, but I had to read through it.
But I will say, I don't think that J.K. Rowling dragged that series out. I think from the very beginning, she had a whole plot kind of structured out, and she knew, because of the Horcruxes and everything, she knew exactly how it had to go down. But I will say now that we're getting into the whole movies that they're bringing out, and everything, and I think that's where you start to get into trouble. But I mean, really, we painted her into a corner because anytime she tried to do anything that wasn't Harry Potter related, everybody literally pitched a fucking shit fit. So, I mean, and so now she's like, okay, well, here's some more Harry Potter shit. And we're like, no, not that Harry Potter shit. we want it our way.
We want you to rewrite the books again. We want to read them like they're brand new.
Exactly.
Well, and that's one thing. And now, talking about kind of beating a story to death, another thing that J.K. Rowling, as much as she is a queen, she really has to quit doing. I didn't even get it out. Martina knows what I'm talking about. Girl, you gotta quit going on Twitter and be like, oh, by the way, this person was black, and oh, by the way, this person's gay or trans. Like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Or what's a big one? It wasn't stated, but it was
implied. Yeah. Where she said, was it? What did she say about who is it? wow, oh my god, everybody's names just went out of my head. The two characters in the most recent movies. Why the fuck can I not all of a sudden think?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, but what's the name of the movies?
Grindelwald.
Yes, the Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so
Grindelwald
and
Dumbledore.
yes, who supposedly had a relationship, but then like she made that statement. She was the one who put it out there. So when they decided to do a movie with the two of them in the same fucking movie, you can't just gloss over that, especially since one is chasing the other. It's like, I think there would have been some really, really bitchy fights. I'm sorry. But if you've ever been in a relationship and now you have to fucking go hunt down your ex, especially for a crime, I think that there would be at least a little bit of banter going back and forth. True. And probably bringing up some shit straight out of the fucking...
I faked every orgasm.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm sorry, but you can't just act like you two never had history when there's something big like that going on. Because everybody's got that shit that they've just been sitting on, waiting to throw in their face.
Is that really the best analogy you want to use?
Oh man, I almost said you have to reach deep in the closet if it wasn't even better, but I stopped myself because I was like, wait.
Everybody's got something they've been sitting on, especially those two gay queens.
Okay, I did not say that. But I mean, let's be real. Johnny Depp in that movie does look a little queenie with that hair.
True. But, you know, and that's kind of the thing is, she needs to let it go. And unfortunately, what frustrates me with some of what she says is it's almost like she's trying for inclusion after the fact.
Right. And I think you can't go back. You can't fucking go back and, like, rewrite history. Like, you didn't have it. Write a new series and then be inclusive. But, like, you had the opportunity to be inclusive with the movies. And you shit the bed.
Well, she's she's like, Hermione was always black. You know, it was one of those, they never stated what was implied. And it's like, well, here's the problem with that, hon. Is you actually sat on the board and picked the actors and actresses for the movie. You picked Emma Watson. Don't sit there and tell me that she was supposed to be black when you picked her.
Right, you could have fucking made it very clear then. But I think what she said was basically that it wasn't that she was always black, but that she just never stated whether in the books whether Hermione was white or black, which she never did.
There's a lot of characters she didn't state any ethnicity. We don't always do that.
Right, but I don't think it's necessary to do that unless it's key to the story, and I think that's where she was going with that. So I kind of let that slide. Like, you know, like she was just saying, if they want to pick a black actress to play Hermione as an adult, fucking get over it. Like, just get over it. I don't care. You shouldn't either.
Here's my problem with that, though. If they're going adult movies and now Hermione is black, it's like, no. She was portrayed as white in all the books. In all those movies come up as a white actress. Now it's almost... You're just doing that for the checkbox. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't in the movies. It was only in the plays. And I'm sorry, but if you've ever been in theater, you know that they pick anybody to play any
Oh, I thought you were
character.
talking about movies going forward. I was going to be like, they've already established that, though. Now it seems like they're just changing it to change
it. It only happened in the theater productions.
Oh, okay, I understand now. Okay.
And you know that. I mean, shit, they got black actors playing Shakespeare. Like, nobody fucking cares. Yeah, it's just theater. That's just how it is.
I thought there was like a movie coming I didn't know about or something
no,
like that.
No, I didn't know. No.
And I was going to say, like, well, they've already established that in because 9, because they split a movie. So, no, 8 movies, I'm sorry, because they split one book. Yeah. But it's like in 8 movies over a decade, they've already established that she's a white character. That now I just feel like you're throwing
if they just pulled like a black actress out of a hat and were like, okay, now this is Hermione. They're like, isn't that?
Yeah.
Why are her parents still white?
Yeah.
Is Hermione adopted? Because I thought the whole thing is she was like, muggle born. Like, what?
A mudblood?
Yeah, like... Which
wouldn't go over well.
No. Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Wow, that actually brings a lot of connotations. Like, oh! The whole room boos. What?
Yeah. Oops.
I take it back.
My hip's got a crack and it's not wanting to.
So you're just gonna hip thrust on the couch, you fucking queen? What are you... Oh, God. Just dick out.
I'm sorry. My hip has to crack.
Why are you not getting video of this?
It has to crack. What? My hip has to crack, you guys. It's serious. It's very serious. It won't crack.
I can't even look at him like this. You're gonna break the goddamn microphone.
Seriously.
I'm trying to crack my hip and it won't crack.
I don't care.
Sweet mother of God.
Fine. Anyway.
Now you're gonna scissor the mic?
I'm gonna scissor Mike.
Well, it looked like you were trying to scissor Mike a minute ago.
Alright, let me fix this mic.
What are you doing?
Alright, so anyway.
Serious. Now that we're done ragging on J.K. Rowling.
I know, right?
J.K.
The billionaire. Oh,
Yeah.
I actually looked something up in regards to that because I knew that she would come up at some point. Fun facts about J.K. Rowling.
Okay.
J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter shared the same birthday, July 31st.
Are you saying that J.K. Rowling is Harry Potter?
Yes. Oh, she didn't
You
tweet
heard
that
it
yet?
here first.
Oh, it wasn't. It was in the books, but it was implied.
Now you're gonna say trans? Is he trans? Harry Potter's trans. You heard it here first.
Trans Harry.
Transcendental.
She wrote her initial Harry Potter ideas on a napkin while on a train in London. The original Harry Potter manuscript was rejected by 12 publishing houses before Bloomsbury picked it up. J.K. Rowling was awarded an Order of the British Empire in 2001. She filled 5 notebook pages with made-up Q words before she came up with Quidditch. Her real name is Joanne. She has no middle name and instead borrowed the K from her grandmother, Kathleen. She went from being unemployed to a multimillionaire in under 5 years. She published her first book for adults, The Casual Vacancy, in 2012. In 2013, she released a crime novel under the pen name Robert Galbraith. And her parents met at King's Cross Station, where Harry takes the Hogwarts Express each year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The more you know.
That was weird.
He didn't like that at all. Look at him.
Hello, Chunk.
He's like, don't make that noise. You scare me.
Oh, Chunky boy. He's just starting to like me
And then
again.
I'll pee all over you.
Again.
That's just what I do.
All right, so now what other series, Martina, do you think should have died?
All right.
On that one note, also, The Hobbit didn't need to be 3 movies. Carry on.
Yeah.
This has been my TED Talk.
Yeah, word.
You guys put way too much shit in it.
So I will say that Janet Ivanovich, her series, her Stephanie Plum series, started out, it was very, like, original, and she was, like, the world's worst bounty hunter, which I thought was hilarious. And all of her cases were, like, so ridiculous. She was, like, one girl she had to go get, she found, had hijacked a Cheetos truck because she was doing, like, a keto-type diet, and she fell off the wagon and hijacked a fucking truck full of snack food.
Wow.
I'm telling you, the books are fucking insane, but they were really entertaining. But then they just kept going. Like, she was like 20 deep into the series, and it was just like, she couldn't seem to like figure out whether she wanted to be with this cop guy or not, and it was just like on again, off again, literally on again, off again, on again, off again. They were banging, they weren't banging, they weren't. And it just got to be like nobody cared anymore. It was just like you'd see her books out, and you're like, ugh, I just can't be bothered. You know, I think if she had ended it like 10 books in, she would have gone out on a high note. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's probably still fucking crying when $100 bills, but like.
Like the dude that invented Ring on Shark Tank?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like, I think the series had, like, a good premise, and then it just went on too long, because, of course, I'm sure she had a lot of, pressure from her publishers, and, you know, you want to just keep giving people what they want, but I think sometimes you're so far removed from it that you don't realize that people no longer want that. They want a resolution, and they want to move on with their lives. Also, I will say that Charlaine Harris's True Blood, to most people from HBO,
Sookie.
known as the Sookie Stackhouse novels, the
Sookie,
Southern
Sookie,
Vampire novels, that was great because you can tell that Charlaine Harris really knows Louisiana. Like, you can tell she was, like, born and bred there. She really had everybody just, like, so deeply ingrained in the culture of, like, small town, kind of, like, parish type life, and all of them all had names like Alcide and like, you know, like they just had like really southern Louisiana like names. So when you had things like Vampire Bill, you kind of like were chuckling, but you were like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Bill Compton.
If
you know,
we're
like,
describing True Blood, and we're mentioning characters specifically and names, there is one that always has to be mentioned. Lafayette.
Ugh. Now, Lafayette died in book 1. There is no Lafayette.
Okay, but in the show, though.
Right. But because he was such a fucking stellar actor and he was such a standout performance, they kept him. Because he was just such a fantastic actor.
My favorite scene is where the AIDS burger scene.
Yes.
He's like,
that's everybody's favorite scene.
You eat my food.
And he's just like,
oh yeah,
he just takes his earrings off in the kitchen and he's just like, let's fucking do
oh
this.
Yeah, as soon as those earrings are coming, I was like, Queen's gonna whoop an ass right now.
Dude, and he did. He whooped that fucker's ass. It was so worth it. And then fucking Suki's brother fucking fist bumps him as he goes by.
He always, what aggravated me about his character in the shows is he was a really well built guy and all that other shit, but he always played like a dumb pushover.
But I mean, that's literally, well, one, I love the fact that everybody on that show was literally from a different country. He was from New Zealand. Anna Paquin's from New Zealand. The one who plays Bill's British. Like, the one who played Eric is fucking Swedish. Like, so nobody who played on that show was actually from the U.S. Everybody's, like, fucking foreign, which was hilarious to me, because they're all doing those southern accents, and it's really hard to maintain.
And didn't Suki and Bill, those two actually did get married.
They are married, yes. They have 3 children? Twins and then another child? They adopted, I think. But they're, like, fiercely private. They will not let people photograph their children. They're like, leave our fucking kids alone. You know, and he's got another child, an older girl who's a teenager, and they just leave our fucking family alone. Which I personally am like, yes, leave them alone. They're kids. Leave them alone.
Yeah, I would get in trouble with paparazzi because I would get, like, overtly violent. Because some of those times, like, they're, like, pulling into their driveway and there's somebody at the end of the driveway taking pictures. Like, I would end up getting arrested a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like...
And a lot of celebrities have gotten in trouble because they're just like, this is fucking bullshit. Leave my family alone. Leave me alone. You're not entitled to my whole life just because I'm famous. Like... So I get that.
I would move to a state, like, that's really liberal on, like, stand your ground laws and castle doctrine. And be like, oh no, step on my property to take pictures. It'll be the last time you do it.
Yeah, but the problem is that they don't have to do that. They're like, nope, got a telephoto lens. I'm already in your living room. Like, I'm not even looking at you anymore. By the way, your wife's hot. No. You know, they're just really invasive. But, yeah, it was just one of those things where even in the show... It just went on too long. But I'd say probably by season 4, they had veered so far from the books that it was like two different things, 2 different entities entirely. Which is fine, and I think that you have to understand that that's a thing that can happen when your book, you know, gets taken and turned into a television show. There's only so many places you can go.
I have the other one, The Walking Dead. I have graphic novels down there. I was a big fan of it. I was a big fan of it before it was a show, because Walking Dead was actually based on these graphic novels that came out of the 80s. Decades before the show was. Now, my issue with it is, at first, it started off like the comics, which was cool, and then it wasn't like the comics, and then everybody's like, oh no, it's back to like the comics again. They're just beating that so much, and it's nothing what I would have wanted it to be, and everybody looks at me like I'm crazy, but I'm such a zombie, like, elitist. I'm like, the first few episodes, that's what I wanted. People just, like, dealing with zombies constantly and that constantly. But then after a while, it turned into, like, a soap opera with zombies. And everybody's like, no, that's the depth because it's not the zombies, it's the people.
And just so you know, that fucking pithy-ass voice he's making right now, I'm the one who said that.
Well,
so I'm the one he's actually fucking mocking right now while I sit right fucking in front of him.
You're out of arm's reach, and you wouldn't hit me in front of Charles.
But it's true. It is supposed to be about how the humans eventually become the monsters.
You're not the only one that's told me that.
Well, because we're right.
But that's not. But my point is, as a zombie guy, that's not what I tuned in for. That's not what I'm interested in. I understand that. That's a lot of post-apocalyptic.
But would you say the graphic novels?
They're just like slash and gore.
Right, but so those never shit the bed. Essentially, you still think those stand up today?
Yeah.
Like, do they still make the comics, or have they done that?
I read the original run series of them. I don't know if they've continued to. I don't know if they started coming out with new ones in light of.
Right. Well, because they do that a lot.
But I just I understand that, but that's
so the
just not what I was
television
saying.
show is the one that you think just went on too long.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I haven't read the Walking Dead graphic novels. I'm not a graphic novel person.
And there's so many things that change. Obviously, there's always going to be some differences, but like in the graphic novels, for example, obviously there's things you can't show on television, but when they get to the party that they're traveling with is a lot bigger. And for example, when they get to the prison and they meet the inmates and all that other shit, they don't know it, but apparently one of the inmates is a literal sociopathic serial killer.
And Zach doesn't know it, but we've already had this conversation on a podcast 4 weeks ago.
Nope. Yep. Was it on the new one? Was it on the new one or the new one? Okay, well
when we talked about the book to movie adaptations.
Okay, that's right. And so, but like he kills the kids and shit, and that's a lot better, in my opinion.
Because, killing kids.
Also, the I don't know.
Infanticide. Just do it.
What? I don't know if in the shows, because again I quit watching them once they were at Virgil's farm, and like I said, it started turning into a soap opera.
But I mean, there were tons of fucking zombies at
Virgil's farm. It was intermittent, but
there was an entire barn full of zombies at the farm.
Yeah, but then they spent like 2 episodes looking for the girl, and they would bump into like a zombie here or a zombie there. I wasn't in it. Now,
spoiler alert: she was in the barn.
Yeah, I know. And she was a zombie.
Yes.
But where was it going? Oh, so the father and the son from the first episode, when he leaves him in the house and he's shooting them, he shows up like a couple of days later at the camp and it's like, hey, I'm here. But like, he just kind of vanished in the show for like a season or 2 seasons. I don't know if he ever even showed up again.
Who? Which one?
So he leaves in the graphic novels.
Are you talking about the black guy with his son?
Yes.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, but he was from when that happened in the show to when I quit watching. It was a long time beforehand. He meets up with them at the camp outside of Atlanta again before they even go off in their bed. Like it's pretty quick. Like he's like, here's where I'm going, and then he meets them there a couple of days later. But in the show, because they started changing so much shit.
Well, they also had to set up so many storylines that going forward that I think, unfortunately, because you can't read like all of the things that you can, like all the stuff going on in people's heads, you have to set it up visually, which I think takes a little bit of extra time. Like, I think that's part of the reason, like, the movie, like, the Da Vinci Code, it bombed in the box office because part of the genius of the Da Vinci Code was all of the real stuff that he put in there about, like, the Fibonacci sequence and, like, phi and the golden ratio and da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's all real stuff that he managed to, like, then, like, turn into like a real mystery and all this other stuff. So that was part of the fun of that. But like when you try to get that to translate, you would literally have to have fucking Tom Hanks sitting there reading you a fucking book for you to catch on to all this stuff. So I think that that's another reason that a lot of times this doesn't translate. But with graphic novels, I don't really know how those work necessarily. Is it all just panels?
Will you grab one of the Walking Dead books, honey?
Curtains?
But like the first one, if you could. They're numbered. But like...
No, I'm not grabbing the first one because it's going to knock all the other books over.
Okay.
You're getting the last one.
That's fine.
So Martina's going through some of my graphic novels now.
I'm just trying not to, like...
Drop it on Charlie?
No, I just don't want to break the spine.
I'm not going to break the spine. Sorry, this is very in-depth.
So it is all just panels, but there is a lot more writing than, say, the average comic.
Yeah.
So that's what I was curious about, because I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just with any time you have a book that they're going to translate, oh, he's dreaming again. He's chasing zombies.
Go boy.
And then this one's dead.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think that's one where the Walking Dead show needs to just stop.
Well, when they switched directors is when I lost interest. When they switched in season 5, I think, they went to a new director, it became so much more of a soap opera, and then it was just shock and awe. Like, they didn't really care so much of the storyline. They just started murdering people, and I'm sorry, but if I feel like nobody's safe and you kill off the 1 or 2 characters I still care about, sorry, bye, deuces. I got nothing left to fucking... I don't give a fuck.
Is that like when he killed like Glenn and shit like that?
Spoiler alert, yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. If you're listening to this and you don't even at least know that one, you're way the fuck far behind, and I'm not responsible for that.
Okay, you can send your hate mail to booksandbspodcast@gmail.com. Fuck you, Zach. Anyway, but yes, when they fucking decided to... And you know what it was? It wasn't even that they killed off Glenn. It was that they fucking killed off Abraham first, and then everybody was like, oh, it was just fucking Abraham. And then they killed Glenn. And it was like, Okay, oh, you got us. You know, like, I hope it was worth it. Click, I'm done watching the show. You know, I just didn't fucking care anymore. It was just like, okay, you're just gonna kill off every main character, every single one.
They haven't killed Daryl.
They did kill Rick's son.
Yeah, and
after he lost his fucking eye.
After he got shot in the face.
Like, fuck you. Like, didn't he fucking suffer enough? Like, I mean, that stuff, that to me is just like, okay, you're just being gratuitous at this point, and you're just going for shock value. And I'm not here
now the
for
new
that.
season, there's like a tribe of people that are going around wearing zombie faces as masks.
Right, and they put all these people's heads on pikes and stuff, which apparently is part of the graphic novels, but they chose different characters to kill off, because they killed 12 off in this one. And that's what I'm saying. Like, 12, you just massacred 12 people. Like, if I somehow managed to care about any of those 12 people this far into the show, and you just off them all, you're just going for shock value at this point. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just,
I agree.
It starts to irritate me. It's kind of like how I got 4 books into the Game of Thrones books and was just like, I don't even fucking care anymore. I'm emotionally exhausted. Everybody's name sounds alike. I have to keep rereading chapters. You've made this too hard. Like, I'm tired. And I'm depressed. And nothing good ever happens to anybody. So I'm just gonna dip out.
Well, and
watch the show.
And you got story driven and character driven. I'm character driven. And
that's
when
another podcast, so don't get into
No, I'm not getting into that, but because that's what I like, when you start killing off characters that I like,
that's exactly how I am.
You lose me completely from the story. Everybody, like in the Game of Thrones, everybody's like, oh no, it's so good and all this fight. And I'm like, yeah, but if I'm starting to even invest from the books to the shows, because I hear there is a huge dichotomy between the two. Some people only like one or the other, but if you start whacking characters that I start liking, you're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose a part of my interest each and every time, because that's that much less invested I am in it. And because George R.R. Martin just likes murdering things, like if I have 100% and every time you kill a character I like, I drop 10% interest, I'm not gonna make it through the first half of one of your fucking books because you just murdered everybody that I like so far. Why am I gonna keep reading and have to reinvest?
And he's already said that he's gonna end the series different than how HBO ends the series this coming up summer or next month, 2 weeks from now, and honestly, the show has built so much anticipation that people are going to be so fucking butthurt no matter how they end it. Because they've set it up in such a way that it's either everybody wins or nobody wins. Because people are so fucking invested in these last few remaining pieces of the puzzle that...
And you're going to get shit on no matter what, because everybody wins. Oh, of course everybody wins. Stupid good guy bullshit, da-da-da. And then if nobody wins, how come it's never a happy ending anymore?
But it's one of these shows that there are so many theories. I mean, there's entire YouTube channels dedicated just to breaking down the complicated relationships of these characters, and just so in-depth, going back, that it's like, people are so emotionally invested that you're fucked no matter what. You're just fucked no matter what. But they've set it up in a way that everybody thinks that they're kind of like, I think I see how this is going to end. And they're so fucking invested, and they just have their heart set in such a way that it's just, no matter what happens, one little thing is going to have people jumping off roofs. Like, it's just going to be...
And then there's going to be another split if he ends the novels differently than the show, because people are going to like one ending over the other, and then
and you already have the purists, like, oh, well, the books are better, and I only care about the books, and I only care about the show, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have that. But yeah, but I don't think he's gone too far. But that's because he only puts out a book every 5 fucking years. But, in his defense, he probably has a fucking entire wall in his house that he has to dedicate just to world building. Like, I can't even imagine the psychosis necessary to try to keep all of this fucking shit straight. And especially this far in, with this many people invested. Because, ask JK, you fuck up one thing in your own timeline, and there's 8 million people on Twitter telling you you're fucking stupid. They're just like, oh, well, if you'll just regard, paragraph C down on da-da-da-da-da, you said this, but now here you're saying that. And it's just like, oh my god, I'm
Excuse
fucking
me for
human.
being a human, yeah. My
Jesus,
fucking bad.
I'm not a fucking robot, I mean, shit, look at my series. Esri knows my books better than I do. I, the writer, will ask Esri, my reader, did I mention this in any of my books yet? Do you remember? And she's like, no, I don't think you have.
Well, and there's so much that we have to go into. That's why we have things like character Bibles and shit like that help us organize all that bullshit. And that's one of the things that I was telling the kids about, because it's actually funny. When last week when I was talking to the high school here and all the students, they were asking how I organize it, and that was one thing that came up over multiple of the classes that I taught that day, of how do you keep your worlds organized, how do you world build, how do you character build, and all. And that's like Evernote. The structure. I don't use Evernote.
What do you use, Zach?
Notebooks.
You have notebooks?
He writes
like actual notebooks?
Yes.
Really, Grandpa?
Yeah.
Like you write it by hand?
Yep.
Oh, that's so cute.
I think one of my character Bibles is behind you somewhere over there. Yeah, that red notebook right there. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't make my own character Bible. Again, that was Esri. Thanks, Esri. I actually cannot function without Esri anymore. I am now beholden to a 15-year-old.
She's a baby deadling.
She's my baby deadling, and she knows everything about everything when it comes to the books. She created my character Bible. She helps create my character guides. She's amazing. And she's all mine, so don't even think about poaching her. Any of you writers out there. Leave her alone.
What's her last name on Facebook?
Nunya.
Esri Nunya? That sounds exotic.
She also speaks Norwegian, which is amazing, because when I was writing all of my my one book about Ren's family, there's all kinds of like Norse mythology that I get into, and she was there to help me with any of the fucking like the writing and the spells and stuff. I could be like, hey, is this the right word? And she'd be like, yeah, no, that's it. And it's really handy.
Yeah, that could come in handy.
Yeah. Norwegian. Who the fuck knew?
Why would you, why would you learn that language?
Well, because she is Norwegian.
That makes sense.
Hence the name Esri.
Well, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, what would cause you to want to learn a language like Norwegian, like out of the nowhere?
Right. No, her family actually is like Norwegian, but I can see that because of all the languages I thought to learn, that was not one of them, and now I'm kicking myself because I feel like someday we're going to have to all flee to Norway to get out of this country, and none of us will speak the language. But since everybody in Norway actually speaks English, because they care enough to.
What's the country that's like so author friendly?
That was it Sweden?
It was one of those countries. Like they have holidays based around book giving. And...
Yeah, I think that's Sweden.
Sweden?
I think it's Sweden. I want to say Scandinavia.
Is there meatballs?
Hey, IKEA. Like some good meatballs.
Never been to an IKEA.
Fuck you. You live so close to an IKEA. Well, are you guys serious? You've never been?
You're sitting on an
Orlando?
IKEA couch with your foot on an IKEA table looking
Thank
at
you.
IKEA.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
This whole room.
You've never
no,
been
this
to
whole
an actual
room
IKEA?
is mail order IKEA.
You have to go to IKEA. You have to try their Swedish meatballs, but you have to go during a weekday or you will fucking murder somebody. Because IKEA on a Saturday is as close to the 7th level of hell that I have ever come. It's just throwing elbows, trying to get where you're going, and then walking out, spending $300 on 18 carts of shit you didn't know you needed. But you did need it.
I feel like we should take this podcast to an IKEA one.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, man. Fucking IKEA is my favorite. IKEA is my Disney World. I fucking love IKEA. I love it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Didn't the president of IKEA die?
What?
Yeah, the president of IKEA died like a year ago or something like that.
He did?
Yeah.
I didn't send flowers or anything.
Yeah, and everybody was saying, it's going to take them a while because they got his casket in the mail, but it's in like 600 pieces, and they made
No, that was the fucking... The lady found a fucking bag of bones in her basement in an IKEA bag. And they're like figures. It comes without instructions for assembly. Okay,
so January 27th, 2018, he died. He passed away.
That's so mean. Don't say anything mean about the guy.
I'm not saying anything mean about him.
You're gonna find some fucking heartless meme though, aren't you?
No, what was his name? It was, no, that's not his name.
Smollen?
Smollen, well no, that's where he died in Sweden.
Oh. Smollen.
His name is Ingvar Kamprad.
I also wish I'd learned to speak Norwegian because that fucking show Borderliner is so good, but I have to read the subtitles. subtitles, and it's exhausting. Of course, I have to read the subtitles for everything because I'm deaf.
Oh, no, never mind. That was just a weird age gap thing, but he was 91.
Damn! Alright, you had a good run.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, back to series.
Yeah, so we're kind of rambling a lot of different things, just some things that annoy us about him, but... So, Martina, now let's get to some of the meat. We're talking about shows and stuff, but what book series do you think should have died?
I told you the ones I thought should have died. 2 of them. The Janet Ivanovich one.
That's but I think I guess it really wouldn't because it was only 3 books because we're talking about like Twilight and stuff. But that's a completely separate conversation.
I mean, I think Twilight for what it's worth, I don't think the series went on too long. I think book 2 was absolutely just so hard to get through because I had a teenager at the time, but good God, you can only listen to a fucking teenager wail and just fling herself off a fucking cliff so many fucking times. It's just an entire book of her whining and bitching and moaning because Edward fucking left her. And then it's all about her friendship with Jacob and blah, blah, blah. And I get that she had to set that up. But she spent just an entire book with her doing more and more stupid shit, more basically death-defying kind of stuff, trying to get Edward's attention, which that's a great message to send to fucking teenagers. And it was just like...
Did it work?
Oh yeah, he came back. Obviously. He chewed that baby out of her, didn't he?
Yeah. That was a thing.
It is, and we're going to really get into it because we're going to do a whole Twilight episode.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, on that note, maybe we should start wrapping this up so we can get into the Twilight episode. Oh, what do we miss?
What about the comments? Any comments for this question?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I'm in my own mind. And I'm forgetting things.
So why don't you tell us, Zach, about the series that you think went on too long?
I've mentioned quite a few of them.
Just you said The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, the Halo series, but granted that's video games. One series of books that I wish would have stopped is actually another zombie series. I'm looking right at them. The original Resident Evil video game, like the one that came out in the 90s. Those were around actual novels. I think there's 7 or 8 of them.
That many times.
Yes. But what ended up happening was that series completed, and it was actually a solid completion of a series. But then the movies started coming out, and then they started making books about the movies, and then they started doing spin-offs and so on, and they beat that series, and now that series has followed the movies and the modern games, and it's now gone down this rabbit hole where it's unintelligible from where it is now to where it should have begun and where it should have ended, and I think that they need to let that one go. Halo, actually, I know I spoke about a video game, but it actually does have a very long-running and strong book series that goes along with it as well. They should have stopped because at this point, I think there's nearly a dozen of those out, and they're just beating a dead horse. It just needs to quit.
We don't want to beat any dead horse.
No. And those are...
Oh, yeah, horse. Sorry.
Whores. Yeah. Those are my main ones. I mean, Harry Potter, I feel like the first 7 books were amazing. The Cursed Child I never read. I heard I'm friends with some Harry Potter purists like myself, and I've heard that was actually not very good because it was like a play. People are expecting like some sort of like a anthology or something delving a little bit into Harry Potter or something like that a little bit more, and that's not what it was. And now we have the Fantastic Beasts, and she's getting into all that. I mean, I'm not knocking J.K. Rowling. She's going to do what she needs to do, but I'm just happy with my 7 novels of Harry Potter and done.
All right. I will say, to that end, The Vampire Diaries, which is, of course, a series and also a television show, the thing that really irritated me about that is that The Vampire Diaries, when it came out in 1993, was 4 books. Boom, 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 boom. And it was a great fucking series. It did not go on too long. It had everything you could want. I loved that series. But when they created a television show, they re-released the books with new covers. And then they just started beating it to death. Then it was like, oh, it's Stefan's diaries. Then it was Elena's diaries. Then it was Damon's diaries. And every one of them was 3 books, 3 books, 3 books. Until it was just like, and
she wasn't even writing those, right, at that point?
No, they had basically stolen her own series from her. To this day, the only way L.J. Smith can write her own characters is as fan fiction in Amazon worlds. because she clearly did not have a good fucking lawyer to read that contract. So the person who writes the show, Julie Plec, also wrote the books. Yes. And that is so fucked up that it really kind of bothered me as far as kind of enjoying the show is knowing that, you know, the person who came up, because she also wrote The Secret Circle, which was another great fucking series back in the day. L.J. Smith, Christopher Pike, and R.L. Stine, 100% my go-tos every time. I didn't even care what the book was about. I would buy it. As soon as they had a new book out, it was mine. Same thing with actually somebody who's super underrated was another YA author called Richie Tankersley Cusick, who was so great.
Sorry, we're having a private bitch fit for a moment. I just have to share an image with Martina. There's the sigh I was expecting.
I can't even with that right now. Anyway.
As soon as we're done talking to you guys, believe me, we gonna have a bitch fit here in a minute.
We gonna have a conversation because we're talking some smack. Anyway, so let's go to some of the comments from our group. And somebody's trying to talk to me on Facebook. Sorry. So you guys said that straight out the gate, Suki Stackhouse. So I think a lot of people were really frustrated with that by the end. The series just went on too long, and you could just tell that she was grasping at straws for something to write about. It became more and more unraveled as she went on. Like, it was just so grasping. And I get that. I think we've all been sitting at our computers like, what the fuck do I write next? Like, oh my God, I've run out of ideas. But this one, like, and we don't have a publisher with like a gun to our head, like, oh, you still owe us 3 more books, you know? So I get it, but I feel bad. But at the same time, it went on way too long. Oh, shit. So I said books or TV shows. Somebody just stabbed me in the heart, saying Supernatural went on too long.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing about Supernatural. And people who are ride or die probably already know this, but it was only supposed to go on for 5 seasons. Eric Kripke created the show to end at season 5. And for the first 5 seasons, he just kept saying, yes, it's going to be over, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. And then they were like, is it? Here's a big fat contract. And he was like, nah, fuck it. And he took the money and run, and good on ya. But I think at this point, so they're going into season 15. Yeah, 15.
This is the last season.
It is. It's the last season. But it's a comfort show for me. Like, I've watched this show from the very, very beginning, and I don't even care what it's about anymore. You want to talk about character-driven versus plot-driven? I don't fucking care what they're doing. I don't care what the episode's about. I just want to watch them do what they do. Like, and so, yeah, it's a really character-driven story, and we're all extraordinarily attached to the 3 main characters. We know them as actors. We know their real lives. Like, they are very inclusive in their fandom. They've created numerous charities to take care of their fandom. They've got huge things about mental health, and they do, like, Misha Collins has his charity, Random Acts of Kindness or whatever. Like, and they do so many things for their fans that I think that we're all extraordinarily attached to them. So, now that it's ending, we're all like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do now?
where I like Supernatural, but then where I started to waver, again, speaking about my impatience, is it's like I love the X-Files and some of those things. I love these shows that are like standalone individuals, but then sometimes when they get too big into the B-roll story going on behind it, like the Lucifer conflict and with God and all that other shit, I'm like,
but I love that stuff. Like,
I'm saying just my personal preferences.
Right.
I would have loved it. I'd watch that forever if it was just standalone episode, like Friends or
right,
something
which is
like
how
that.
it started. Was that it was like, the
I
monster
really,
of the
really
week.
Yes,
the monster
basically.
of the week, yeah.
And I really, really liked that.
And I liked the X-Files right up until it became all about the aliens and the conspiracy. That's when they lost me for the X-Files, is because
and then Mulder disappeared.
Right, and I mean, and then like she was pregnant by an alien, but was it an alien? Was it Mulder? Was it like all of that stuff? Like, and the fucking just sexual tension. Sweet mother of God.
Between Dana Scully and Fox Mulder.
Did they need to drag that out for 8 goddamn seasons?
And now they're actually like kind of a thing.
And even worse, when they finally fucked. Yeah, I said it. We didn't even get to see it. it was just implied later in an episode, like, oh, the baby's his? What? Oh, I guess we did fuck. Like, how dare you? How dare you fucking make me wait 8 seasons for something that I never fucking got to get, like, any kind of closure on?
Like, tasteful side cheek.
Something.
Or something like that.
Something. Come on. And they're fucking in real life, from what I hear. So come on, there had to be like...
You guys could accidentally release like a Kim Kardashian style video for the hardcore fans just to give us some closure in the show.
Even though you're both fairly old at this point, even if it's mediocre vanilla sex, we're still in it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
come on.
They're both aging very well.
They are. They look fantastic. And I just think they're so fucking adorable together. I mean, it's
forgot,
been years.
Like watching those old episodes and, back in the 90s, but even like now rewatching it and like every once in a while David Duchovny would take his shirt off and I'm like, shit, I forgot Mulder was ripped, dude.
That was the very first time I ever remember like seeing a guy and being like, oh, because I liked his personality so much that he then became hot to me. I think I was like, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 when the show started. And my sister and I used to sit on the phone together because she was in South Carolina. And we would sit on the phone and we would watch X-Files together. That's what we did on Fridays. And I still remember it was an episode where they were going into the woods. And he was like wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. And it was just like a fucking switch flip for me. And I was like, he's really hot, right? And my sister was like, fuck yeah, he's hot. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, he is. He's like good looking. It was the episode where she thought that she had, she'd been bit by whatever it was that was like infecting people, but it turned out to be like a mosquito bite or something. And all of a sudden, of course, she had to get naked for him or whatever. And I was just like, oh that's where they're going for this. Okay. But yeah, that was the first time I was like, yeah, no, he's actually really hot. But those were some of the best fucking episodes. Was like the old school stuff where they had the monster of the week that they were always hunting. I think that's kind of why I like that Legacy show now, because there is an overall storyline, but every week they're kind of like battling a new monster, and no matter how kitschy it is, it's just easy, because at the end of the episode, like, that's the end of that monster, and you can just move on.
Yeah, and where Supernatural actually lost me is I was in it. We were very heavy regular watchers up until Sam came back, no soul, and then got his soul back, and then we were pretty much done with it. It's the same thing with Dexter. Dexter was a great show, the serial killer of the week almost type of deal, but then it got so stressful because we would watch that wanting to unwind. And that's the thing about sometimes, like, people that have like high stress jobs or deal with a lot of bullshit, we want wind down shows. And some of these shows that are so like high intensity and like high drama, and then there's no conclusion at the end of the episode, I literally don't need that in my life. So we were watching Dexter regularly until the 3rd season, and every episode was end that cliffhanger of they're gonna catch Dexter.
Yeah.
They got this evidence now. There's no way he's gonna get out of it, and then it would leave you there, and then you'd have to wait for the next episode next week, and they'd be like, okay, looks like that fell apart, and then it would end.
But then they would start a whole new like storyline. But they would solve it in the first episode of the next season, and you were just like.
Well, not
and then it would
that.
like start the tension all over
like
again.
Season 3 was like almost every episode was like that, and we're like, okay, is this gonna be like the last season? Is this how this goes? Right. And then I were literally like so stressed, like we were just like, what, screw it. Like it literally was just adding stress.
Yeah, but I mean, and with Dexter, I think they lost me when they killed Alfreda. Like I think it was just so. Again, I think sometimes they just do things for shock value, and it makes me angry because I feel like that's cheap.
Like.
No,
say it. What?
Curtains, get in on this. What's up?
Like when they killed Lincoln in 100, I was
I was so fucking mad about that.
I was so angry.
Get in on this, Curtains.
I was so angry when they killed him on the 100 that that I threw the controller that I was holding because I was getting ready to pause it because Zach had just come home. And I literally was like,
I actually remember that because I thought I did something. Like I walked in, literally walked in, and she's chucking a controller across.
Because he was my favorite character,
right?
And Octavia was my other favorite character,
right.
And the only reason I continued watching was because she was still around.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Well, and that's the same season I stopped watching the 100 because they killed off Lexa.
Yeah, exactly. I love.
And it was another kill your gays trope.
Right. Yeah.
Like fucking Clark and Lexa were finally happy. Yeah. And they had that whole storyline going, and because she was going to be doing Fear the Walking Dead, he pitched a bitch fit, and instead of making it work, Jason fucking Rosenberg, whatever his name is, the guy who runs the show, fucking pitched a fit, and he killed her off. And he did the same thing to Lincoln because he got the American Gods interview.
I remember hearing about this.
Or,
there was a big
audition.
scandal because every time one of his actors got a job to grow elsewhere, he wouldn't work with them. He would just get angry and fire them, basically.
Right, and he was just like, the show's bigger than you two, and we can go on without you. And
Trust
it's
me,
true.
honey.
They're like, I mean, I guess some people are still watching the show, but my child, she hate watches the show, and she lives in Klexa fucking fan fiction and edits on Instagram. And as a girl who's bisexual like Clark, who's married to somebody who's, a lesbian, like, it's so hard to find any representation where lesbians are allowed to be fucking happy. They're never allowed to be happy. As soon as they find happiness, one of them has to die or one of them has to go in whatever way possible. And it's just so obnoxious that she finally found a show and everybody was so invested. And he decided, singularly, even with such a huge fandom, that it was all about him, Zach, focus mic again.
Technical difficulties. I got it.
But yeah, I totally get that because that's when I stopped watching The 100. I just stopped caring because it made me so mad that he basically took it upon himself to just not allow any of his characters to grow. And Lincoln's mom in real life, the actor's mom, was infuriated, and she's the one who broke the scandal, basically saying, my son got another opportunity, and this is how they repaid him, by killing him off in the show. Even though the fucking, their timelines would have never mingled, it would have never interfered with his other job, he just didn't want him to do that. He just pitched a fit, and he fucking ruined his life, essentially. I mean, he's doing just fine on American Gods, don't get me wrong. But still, he could have had 2 opportunities, and he decided to take it upon himself to just, act like a little bitch, essentially. Yeah, I said it. You're a little bitch. Anyway. But yeah, so, I hate shock value type entertainment. I feel like it's a low blow. I feel like it's cheap. And if you have to, just emotionally manipulate people like that, then your writing's not very strong, It's one thing if it really does push the storyline forward, but there was literally no reason to kill off Lincoln. None. At all. Just none.
Was that that episode where I came home, and was that the guy they had on his knees outside the compound and they shot him?
Yeah. I
remember that.
I'm so angry.
Shooting a black guy, fucking straight up terrorist style. It was just so, kill your gays, then kill your fucking, kill off your minorities. It's just oh my god, all in 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. It was boom, boom, literally, just gunshots. That's fucking bullshit. Anyway, now that I'm good and fired up, let's see what the audience has to say about anything else. Somebody mentioned the Shatter Me series, which I haven't read. But I know Molly's read it, and she said that she really couldn't get into it. I think she said the first book was good, but the rest of them kind of just...
That's what happened to me. I read the first one. I thought it was good. I started the second one, and I never finished it.
Yeah, Gaynor says, first half of the book was great, then it descended into exhausting teen psychological abuse hell. Mm-hmm. Yikes. Yeah, everybody else is pretty much just agreeing with me and the Sookie Stackhouse books going on too long. Somebody said the Outlander series, which... I can see that because, I mean, we're 4 seasons deep or 5 seasons deep in the Stars show, and I don't even think they've hit those books in the series. That is a series that goes on for fucking ever because you can time travel, so you can drag that shit out to infinity if you want to. So yeah, I can totally see how that would just be a bit much after a while. Lost, we've already talked about.
Yep.
And the Anita Blake series, which I've already talked about, which is Laurel K. Hamilton's, which it sucks because I read about necromancers because I fucking loved this series when it came out. The Anita Blake books were so fucking different. They had the best titles and the best covers. My sister was so obsessed with those books. She was like, she called me up and she was like, you gotta go to the bookstore and you've gotta get the first book in the series. It's amazing. And I mean, how often do you even hear fucking people say that anymore? Remember when people actually gave a shit about books and they were like, no, you've got to read this next one.
I
know it's all television shows.
I know they still do it now, but I remember when I would be watching television and you would see a commercial for a book coming out.
Yep. Now the only person who does that is fucking James Patterson. He's the only one. And he's just like, hello, I'm James Patterson. Buy my fucking book. You know you will.
I don't even know why I'm telling you.
And he didn't even write it. All right, I think we've exhausted this topic. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much there.
I know I'm exhausted.
See what we did there?
Watching Zach read porn was just so exhausting.
It was for everybody.
All right, we'll be back shortly with another episode. I think we're going to be deep diving into Twilight in a whole fucking episode.
Oh, God.
Pre-prepared for Zach to moan like a porn star, and like every time we have to talk about Twilight.
Are you still inside me?
Yeah, we're gonna find some Twilight fanfiction if I can, and make
Lord
Zachary
Jesus.
read that as well.
All right, guys. Well, Martina, you want to hit him up with our social media?
Facebook.com/booksandbullshitpodcast. Instagram.com/booksandbspodcast. And then I'm going to fuck this one up. Twitter.com/booksbullshitp1 at twitter.com. Yay! No, just books is bullshit. Books bullshit PS1. That's it. No .com.
PlayStation 1?
I don't know what I just said. Just find us. You will. Bye.
Later.